All right, let's move on to 1.3 in Unit 1. Operating costs for a vehicle. Okay, so what is the current price of 1 liter of regular gas in your area? So it's about maybe 120 right now. It fluctuates constantly. Places like British Columbia go up to like this summer it was like 155, 160 per liter. So quite expensive. At this price, what would it cost to fill a 60-liter tank? Well, you just take 60 times that to get 79.20. So it can get quite pricey for gas, especially if you fill up once a week. Okay, so Maddie wants to buy a truck for her sign painting business in Chilliwack. What are the costs for owning and operating a truck? Many made the list of costs at the left. What are two other costs? So truck costs, monthly payment, oil change, gas, insurance, license plates, tire repairs. There's lots. Okay. Number 2, vehicle costs are ownership costs or operating costs. Ownership costs usually are the same each month. Operating costs change. They depend on how much you drive and what you spend on maintenance and repairs. So examples of ownership costs are monthly payments, insurance, license plate, registration, all that stuff. Examples of operating costs are oil changes or gas or tires or repairs. So let's move on to our first example. We have Gordana owns a sedan. She drives to and from work 5 days per week. She lives 32 kilometers from work, so that's 64 kilometers a day. She estimates that she drives an additional 175 kilometers each week. Use this chart from the Canadian Automotive Association to estimate the yearly operating costs for a sedan. So they have hybrid, minivan, and sedan. You'll be going back to this chart later on in the booklet in the next page or two. But just so you know, this operating costs for a sedan, you have fuel, maintenance, and tires, roughly 14 cents, almost 15 cents per kilometer. Minivan is almost 20 cents a kilometer, and a hybrid is about 9. So good to know. Let's move on to the solutions. So at what distance does Gordana drive each week? Well, 2 times a day, and she said she drives 5 days a week at 32 kilometers one way for work, plus an additional 175 kilometers each week. That totals to 495, almost 500 kilometers a week. What distance does she drive a year? Well, you take that 495 per week. How many weeks are in a year? We have 52. I flipped that by accident. 52 weeks in a year and 495. Times them together, and we get 25,740. So she's kind of like high average. Most people drive about 20,000-ish kilometers a year. C, about how much are the yearly operating costs for Gordana's sedan? So you take her mileage of 25,740 and you times it. On the other page, we had the sedan at 14 cents, almost 15 cents. And you get a total of about, big number, 378, 378. So convert that to dollars, move the decimal over twice to here. That's about $3,783.78. So yearly operating costs, almost $4,000. And here it says, how much would she save if she drove a hybrid? Well, this would be 9 instead of 9 something instead of 14 something. So yeah, a lot less. So this chart from CAA shows the average ownership costs for different types of vehicles in Canada for drivers over 25. About how much does it cost for Godon to own and operate her sedan for 1 day and for 1 month? So we're breaking down time cycles. So we have insurance, license registration, depreciation, interest and loan, and annual totals of sedans, minivans, and hybrids. So our solution then, how much does it cost for 1 year? Well, let's take our yearly operating cost that we figured out in example 1 up at the top of the page of $3,783.78 and add it to her sedan annual ownership cost of $6,239, and we get about $10,022.78. So about 10 grand for a year. And they asked what would be her daily cost. So the daily cost would just be that 10,000 divided by how many days are in a year? 365. And we'd get about 2746. That's what it costs her to run her car a day. So if we want to know how much it would roughly cost for a month, you take that total of 10,022.78 and you divide it by 12 months in a year, and you get about $835.23. So that is what the total cost for 1 month is. Okay, moving on to the next page. All right, so now we're on to the practice part. It says, hint, use the CAA charts to help you with these questions. I won't be doing number 1, but reflect how much money would Lynn save each year if she drove a sedan. I will be doing number 2 about Rita. So Rita owns a mid-sized car. The fuel consumption ratings are 9 liters per 100K for city driving and 6 liters for highway driving. So if you didn't know, cars usually drive easier, like they're more fuel efficient on the highway. Rita does about 120 kilometers of city driving and 180 kilometers of highway driving each week. About how much does Rita spend on fuel per week? So we can break this down. Fuel used is per week, I guess, would be equal to, we can take the 120 kilometers and times it by the 9.0 liter per 100K. And actually, we can even convert that to liters per kilometer. So if we just divide 9 by 100, we can eliminate. That way we don't have to do that later. So 9 liters per 100K is the same as 0.09 liters per kilometer. So now the units are the same, they can cancel later. Plus, we have 180 kilometers of highway, and we have to times that by, this time it'll be 6 liters per 100K or 0.06 liter per kilometer. Now we times that, add it together, so we'll get 10.8 liters plus 10.8 liters equals about 21.6 liters. So that's how many liters, and the kilometers will cancel, so you're just left with liters. That's how many liters she spends, she drives in the week. Now we have to figure out the cost. So your cost will vary depending on what fuel cost you use. I'll just use the fuel cost in the book from earlier. So the fuel cost per week will be equal to, it was $1.32. And we'll put money, 30 per liter. And we'll times that by 21.6 liters that we just calculated. So the liters will cancel and you're gonna be left with money. And that will cost $28.51. So that's how much she spends a week on fuel. That's actually not that bad. Okay, B, how much does Rita spend on fuel per year? Well, yearly cost is going to be equal to her $28.51, and we just times that by how many weeks are in a year. Well, a year has 52 weeks per year. So that will cost $1,482.52. So she spends almost $1,500 per year on fuel. Why might the amount Rita spends be different from the estimates in B? So fuel prices change. Every day. They don't stay 132. We know that. Every day it changes from $1.10 to $1.30. It depends what happens in the world. Also, she might be driving less or more. Driving varies. She might be doing a little bit more or a little bit less depending on what she's doing. So that'll all fluctuate the costs for her. Okay, so you guys do number 1. I showed you number 2, and we can move on to the other ones. So number 3 is kind of laid out for you very nicely in a chart format, so I'll let you guys do that one as well. But I can do number 4 and number 5. So number 4, Stan owns a sport utility vehicle and drives in the city. Stan averages about 2150 kilometers of driving each month. The operating manual for his SUV says that its fuel consumption for city driving is about 13, which is pretty standard. How much does Stan spend on fuel in a year? All right, let's figure it out. So fuel consumption is going to be 13 liters per 100K. That's about 0.13 liters per kilometer. Fuel used is going to be, that's per month. So it's per month is going to be, well, 2150 kilometers times what we just calculated, 13 liters per kilometer, and we get a value of 279.5 liters. Cancel those. There you go. So that's how much fuel he uses in a month. Now the cost is equal to, let's do 132 again, just to keep it simple. 130 or $1.32 per liter times what we just calculated that he drives, 279.5 liters. Liters cancel. We get a total of 368.94. That's how much it costs for 1 month. And yearly cost is just the 368.94 per week, and we times that by, or sorry, not per week, per month. And we times that by how many months are in a year, 12 months per year. And we get 4,427.28. So our buddy Stan here drives that much a month, spends that much on fuel per month, per year, sorry. And lastly, Caitlin claims that she needs to think about the cost of insurance when deciding what type of truck she can afford to buy. Do you agree? Explain. Yeah, well, here, we'll just give you this here. I agree. As well as the monthly car payments, Caitlin will pay insurance throughout the year. She needs to think about this added cost. Insurance costs vary for different vehicles. So I have a motorcycle. My motorcycle insurance is about $1,000 for the year. And I also have a car that's about $1,400 per year. But if I get a bigger motorcycle, which I would like to one day, the insurance prices jump up to like $2,200 per month. So it's more than double. So yeah, careful what you buy, because insurance rates can skyrocket for sports cars or things that have a higher rate of crash. And reflection. The law requires that you buy insurance for a car that you own. What are some factors that influence the cost of insuring a vehicle in Canada? That's kind of like crashing stats. If it's a 4-door, if it's a 2-door, just a lot of different things. Okay, that's 1.3. Next video we'll be covering 1.4. Who's buying what?